Court is adjourned for now. In the Derek Chauvin trial, both sides have rested, and the judge says that on Monday they will begin with the closing arguments. In the meantime, there's some administrative stuff that needs to be done, but also the judge is going to have to sort of give the instructions to the jury. They have a number of different charges that they have to consider. They have to have a thorough understanding of the definition of those charges. There are some things that certainly overlap. And so that will be what they're working on. You heard the judge mention that he had received questions from the jury. So they'll be looking at those questions and figuring out how to ensure that the jury understands the task at hand, understands what they need to be considering. After that, Vlad, you heard his suggestion to the jury, in terms of how long will they be deliberating. He said, pack for a long time, but hope for a short time. So it's sort of anyone's guess whether or not, if perhaps by the end of next week, we could know Derek Chauvin's fate. After that, of course, there are issues about whether or not he will file for appeal, whether or not there are grounds for appeal, and sort of all that sort of stuff moving forward.
Yeah, it's interesting that the judge decided to keep to the timetable that they had set, which is the Monday for closing arguments. Let's bring in Keir Dougall, who was just watching this with us. Keir, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little surprised that that the case is wrapping up as quickly as it did, 3 weeks. Do you feel, I guess, that the defense presented a strong enough case that Mr. Nelson will have potentially swayed one juror?
Yeah, that's hard to say. That's why we have jurors. And that's why we have a jury of your peers to decide these factual questions. Look, earlier you asked me, would I advise Mr. Chauvin to take this stand? And I said that I wouldn't. And then we learned that he wasn't going to. The reason that I said that is that we have now got a situation with the expert testimony from the defense where you have arguments that the defense for Mr. Chauvin can make about reasonable doubt. So, it's this issue about the burden of proof, and it's extraordinarily high what a prosecutor has to do in a courtroom to convince a jury unanimously beyond a reasonable doubt. And so I expect tactically, we're talking about legal tactics now, that there's enough in the record that Mr. Chauvin and his attorneys feel that there's enough in the record with that expert testimony that they can try to sway at least one juror and hope that they sway them all to get an acquittal. So I believe that they feel like they have the arguments that they need to make.
Can we talk a little bit about the charges that Derek Chauvin is facing and why it's so important that the jury sort of understands how each charge is defined? There's second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, I believe. I'm trying to quickly go through the list here. Second-degree manslaughter. Can you kind of help us define how those charges are different?
Right. So each one of them requires a homicide. And each one of them requires that it be caused by the defendant. And you're going down Anne-Marie, you went down a descending order of the seriousness of the charges. And so each one has a descending amount of maximum time of imprisonment. The top charge is, as you say, it's either intent to kill or it's a substitute intent. That Mr. Chauvin if he didn't intend to kill Mr. Floyd, he intended to cause serious bodily injury. Sometimes it's called the felony murder rule, but it requires a mental state that is more venal. The middle charge is kind of reckless. You were aware and you ignored a risk. The bottom charge is a negligence charge that he, negligently took steps that caused the death of Mr. Floyd. But it's here where for each charge it has to be proven to be a homicide. as opposed to some undetermined cause of death. And there also has to be proof accepted by the jury that Mr. Chauvin actually caused Mr. Floyd's death, and that it wasn't justified by the procedures that he used as a law enforcement officer. And with the expert testimony that we heard from the defense, to tie back to the last question, I think the reason why this wrapped up so quickly without Mr. Chauvin testifying is that the defense team feels like they can make the arguments to get perhaps one juror, and I'm sure they're hoping to get them all. So I think that's where we are in terms of the charges.
Mm-hmm. It's all really interesting stuff, and we will watch as things unfold. Court resumes on Monday when we hear those closing arguments, and then after that, the jury starts to deliberate. Keir, thank you so much for kind of navigating through all of this for us. We really appreciate it.